In this next slide, actually, I have made a question sort of thing. Like, I've given this image and you have to tell, is this image correct or not? But unfortunately, this is not a live lecture, so I cannot ask you. Ultimately, I will have to tell you the thing. That what is the fault in this image you are seeing is optic nerve. You are seeing the the layers. You have sclera. You are seeing is hold on. You are seeing is sclera. You're seeing is sclera, then the choroid, then the retina with all these layers of the photoreceptors, pigment, everything you're seeing, then the outer nuclear layer, then the inner nuclear layer, outer plexiform, inner plexiform, ganglion cells, and then layer of retinal nerve fibers, and the inner membranous layer, limiting membrane. So the question is, what is wrong in this image? Actually, this I am trying to show you here to make this concept clear. It's about the pattern of the emergence of these nerve fibers out of the cribriform fossa to form the optic nerve. As you've seen that these ganglion cells neuron, here placed adjacent to the optic disc, there they have shown it that they passing, so they're passing peripherally in the optic nerve, right? And as you're moving peripherally, the fibers are emerging out, they're converging right towards the center, and they're emerging towards the center of retina. As you move periphery, the fibers are becoming more centrally placed. As you move towards more peripherally, the fibers are becoming more centrally placed, right? So that is the problem with this image. That is the problem with this image, which is wrong in this diagram, because here you're seeing is the axons of the ganglion cells. As I told you, the macular fibers will pass through the center of the optic nerve, while the peripheral fibers will pass towards the periphery of the optic nerve, which is not happening in this diagram. Here in this diagram, the peripheral and the central fibers are passing laterally or peripherally, and the peripheral fibers are passing through the center. This is the wrong thing. They have shown it here like this. These are the central fibers along the optic disc, which are passing in the periphery, and peripheral fibers, you can see they are passing towards the center, which is wrong. Okay, so to explain you this, let me draw one diagram. This is let's say that this is the blind spot. Let's draw two diagrams, right? It's two diagrams, right? So this is the blind spot in the two diagrams, and as I was telling you that according to this diagram, they've shown is that the fibers from the center, they are passing out like this, and the peripheral fibers, they're passing out like this, and even the more peripheral fibers, they're going down to the center of the optic nerve, they emerging in the center, which is not happening in real sense. Got it? So what can you think about hold on, yes, so what will be the right thing? The right thing will be that the peripheral fibers will pass towards the periphery of the retina. Okay, so the peripheral fibers will pass towards the periphery of the retina, one thing. Then further fibers, they will emerge perpendicularly and then move on like this. Then they will emerge and then move on like this. They will emerge and move on like this. Then they will emerge and move on like this. they will emerge and move like this. So what you have to focus is focus here. Focus here means the peripheral fibers will be, if you remember the layers of the retina, we're counting from outside to inside. So that means the peripheral fibers lay on the outer side of this ninth layer, that is the nerve fiber layer. While the central fibers, they emerge, first of all, they pass perpendicular straight up to reach closer to the vitreous. Like here you find is the vitreous, So as you move towards the center, the central fibers, they will emerge, the layers of the neuronal fibers, and they will become more closer to the vitreous, and then they will emerge into the center of the optic nerve. Okay, I hope this is clear with you. Okay, so let's move to the next slide. Next slide here you are seeing is the explanation what I have told you, because that was just a diagrammatic explanation, but the reality is what happening is shown in this diagram. So this diagram they have actually showed you is like, ophthalmoscopic view, where you find in the center is this point called the fovea centralis. Okay. And nasal to that, because you're seeing is right side of the eye, right eye. So this is the blind spot. One thing can you appreciate, that means comparing to the fovea centralis, blind spot is larger in size, and it is around how much, around 2 to 3 millimeter late nasal or towards the medial side. Okay, so that was about the distance. Now about the everything on, if you're seeing from the vitreous side, everything is covered by a transparent inner limiting membrane, and beneath to that will be the blood vessels, as you can see, the blood vessels, as well as the nerve fiber layer. Because from this point the veins are exiting, the arteries are entering. I'll tell you how this branching pattern is being maintained by the central artery and veins of the retina later on. First, look about the neuronal fibers layer, the nerve fibers layer. So the nerve fibers around the central, fovea centralis, as I was telling, that this is the area of the most clearest vision. So the fibers from here, they will pass out straight into the center. They will pass out like this into the center, form a loop. Can you see? They have already shown you. I'm just repeating over that diagram. They're forming a arc shaped loop, which is converging towards the blind spot. And furthermore, if you see, can you see this transverse line, right? Can you see this transverse line? This is called the horizontal meridian. So now the fibers from above to this will converge like this, will move from this. This is the way. This is the actual thing, that how these fibers emerge out of the optic nerve, so that the peripheral fibers become peripheral and the macular fibers stay in the center. Okay, now look, see, this is how the peripheral fibers will reach towards the periphery, and the macular fibers will directly pass into the center like this. Okay, so that was my explanation regarding this. And now look, let's give it a reading fast, because this is important. So let's give it a reading. Ganglion cell fiber layer. This is the layer I'm talking, is the 9th layer, and this is going to continue as the optic nerve fibers. An important thing about this is that this is the layer, the second order neurons. If they ask like where do they relay, These ganglion nerve fibers, they started from the retina, they are converging towards the optic disc, and they emerging out as continuing as nerve fibers. Then you know, if you don't know, I'll be teaching you further. Then partly the nasal fibers, they decussate in the chiasma, optic chiasma, the temporal fibers continue, and ultimately they form optic tracts. Then optic tracts, they relay them in the LGB, lateral geniculate body. So if it's asked where do these fibers, ganglion cell fibers, relay, they relay maximally, the most of the fibers, they relay in the lateral geniculate body. Maximum fibers they relay there. However, few fibers also relay in the superior olivary, superior colliculus. Few fibers also relay in the colliculus, but most of the fibers relay in the LGB, lateral geniculate body. That is and from LGB up till the visual cortex, that's the third order neurons in the visual pathway. So let's read about the ganglion cell fibers. Ganglion cell fibers के बारे में क्या? Ganglion cell axons run in the nerve fiber layer above the inner limiting membrane. Now don't get confused with this word, above the limiting membrane. These fibers are actually running above, means when you are sitting in the vitreous chamber and you are looking posteriorly on the retina, so you will find that it's the first layer, that is the outer limiting membrane. So you will say that the nerve fibers layers are actually running above, means towards the choroid. So that's why it's written as the ganglion cell axons run in the nerve fiber layer above the inner limiting membrane towards the optic nerve head in the arcuate form. So these fibers, they run they are running in the layer, in this ninth layer, and they are converging to the optic nerve head in the arcuate form. This is the arcuate form. Got it? This is the arcuate form. That's I already told you. Okay, so referring to this figure, you can see is the streaming out pink fibers. So let's change this. You can see yourself here. These are the streaming out. If you are not able to see, let me zoom it. I think it will be better now. Right. So they have, these are the streaming fibers. They are arcuate, reaching towards us. So these fibers will pass into the center, and these fibers, they have horizontal meridian. From fibers above to that will converge peripherally, and even from the nasal side they will converge into the periphery of the optic nerve. Okay, so this is schematic representation of the course of the ganglion cell axons in the retina. The retinotopic, now this word, actually while I was searching, I was thinking about the word, like you have the somatotopic representation in the motor homunculus and the sensory in the spinal cord, like in the crus cerebri. They had representation of the body parts in lateral spinothalamic tract, pyramidal tract. So that presentation, as I told you, is now, remember that this presentation is called the retinotopic. This is called retinotopic. Okay, so this representation of the image formed on the retina has to be transmitted as such up till the visual cortex, and this conveyance of this image, this body parts of the image, the quadrants of the image as it is, has to be depicted around, and they have to be conveyed along this optic pathway, and this is called a retinotopic origin of these nerve fibers is respected throughout the length of the visual path. This is so important point, is this so important about this. Okay, so the retinotopic origin of these nerve fibers is respected throughout the visual pathway. Right from retina to the visual pathway, whatever and how is it the image formed at the retina, that will not be distorted. Otherwise, your vision will get distorted. So, as it is pinpoint each and every point on your, if you place a point in any part of the retina, that will be focused as it is in the visual cortex. Got it? So, that's called retinotopic origin of these nerve fibers here. It is respected throughout the length of the visual pathway. Okay. Okay, so these fibers are shown in streaming pink. The fovea is of course free of a nerve fiber layer. As I told you before, if you remember the diagram of the fovea centralis, I told you, remember, when you talk about fovea centralis, remember the example I gave you, removing the veils of the bride to see the face. So you're removing the layers from inside to out, from 10th only hategi, 9th, 8th, 7th, 6th, 5th, that's way, right? So ultimately you reach to the photoreceptor layer. So that means, remember that I told you that the fovea is free of a nerve fiber layer, thick, because that has been displaced laterally. As the inner retina and ganglion cells are pushed away to form the foveal slope. Yeah, the exact word for that is foveal slope. That's how you push the layers apart, the center, the inner layers. The central ganglion cell fibers run around the foveal slope and sweep in the direction of the optic nerve. So got it? So here it will be, here it will be a heaved thing. Here it will be heaved thing. Heaved, why? Because there is a shallowness created, right? And that's why down here what you're seeing is the visual, photoreceptors. So these fibers, they will climb up, right? And then they will reach down. They will climb up and then they will reach down, right? This is a concavity here because of the fovea centralis. So they will climb up to the slope and then they will move towards the center. You can say is the center of the optic nerve. So the central ganglion cell fibers run around the foveal slope and sweep in the direction of the optic nerve. ठीक है, तो चूंकि इसमें जो फाइबर्स हैं, पहले अब जो इधर वाले फाइबर्स आएंगे वो क्या होंगे, इसको भी घूम के जाएंगे, इधर जो आएंगे वो पूरा घूम के जाएंगे, इधर से जो निकलेंगे फिर इधर घूम के जाएंगे, राइट? सो दे आर एक्चुअली, फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल दे विल हैव टू असेंड अप टू द स्लोप, द फोवियल स्लोप, एंड देन दे विल कन्वर्ज टुवर्ड्स द optic disc in the center. So the central ganglion cell fibers run along the foveal slope and sweep in the direction of the optic nerve. Peripheral ganglion cells, right? Now look about the peripheral ganglion cells. We're talking about this, right? So the peripheral ganglion cell axons continue this arching course to the optic nerve with a dorsoventral split along the horizontal meridian. Got it? So this is the horizontal meridian, the peripheral fibers. I already told you that the peripheral fibers will follow this dorsoventral course. The dorsal fibers which will this side, ventral fibers will reach this way. That's how the fibers will reach towards the periphery of the optic nerve, and even from the nasal side of the retina also. Got it? Okay. Retinal topography is maintained. They have repeated this important point. Retinal topography is maintained in the optic nerve through the lateral geniculate body to the visual cortex. Everywhere this is very important, that the this topography, or you can say, is the retinotopic pattern, or the topography of the image from the retina is transmitted as such from retina to the visual cortex. Okay, so that is done for this slide. Next we move to the next slide. Yes, next slide. Muller cells of the retina. Muller cells, I have already told you. Look here in this diagram, as I tell you, this is the outer layer, these are the inner layers. From the outer, the pigment cell layer, then the rod and cones, and the inner outer nuclear, outer plexiform, inner nuclear, inner plexiform. Then you have the ganglion cell layer, nerve fiber layer. That was the pattern, you know. But as I told you, don't forget about this. If they ask you the cells of the inner nuclear layer, you will count them, this one, this one, this one. All these are counted as the inner nuclear layer. Outer nuclear is formed by the first neurons, they are the photoreceptors. And don't get confused, there are some books writing as second neurons. Second neurons, of course they are second neurons, but if they ask what is the first order sensory neuron in the visual pathway, then the answer will be the bipolar neurons. Okay, वैसे भी in, like, you know, general anatomy, the very beginning, you must have been taught all the peripheral sensations from, you know, Merkel days, Pacinian corpuscles, and, you know, free nerve endings and Ruffini's, you know, all these receptors. The sensations are being conveyed to the spinal cord through those first order neurons. They are pseudo unipolar neurons, right? Then the special senses, like, you know, from the olfaction, from the gustation, from the auditory and vestibular pathway, and from the retina, these are basically bipolar neurons, right? So that way also you should think that photoreceptors, we do not count, actually they are the first neurons, but we do not count them as the first order neurons in the visual pathway. First order neurons will be this. So you can remember that this is actually the first order neuron, right? And this is a receptor. You remember this in fact, you know, this might be confusing for sometimes, so you can strike out this word second order and first order, remove this. You better remember that this is photoreceptors and this is the first order neuron, right? This is the first order neuron and this is the second order neuron. Okay, and this optic nerve is formed by the second order neurons. Okay, so Muller's neuron, we are talking is about the Muller's neuron. This is the Muller's neuron we are talking is about. And I believe I already told you that Muller's neuron are, you know, pillar shaped elongated neurons, and they are, like, you know, bridging from the outer limiting membrane up to the inner limiting membrane. Okay, so outer limiting से लेके inner limiting तक है ये. Okay, then the purpose obviously is to prevent the collapse of the neurons between these two layers, between the two limiting membranes. One is the mechanical importance हो गई एक तो run. The other thing is, you know, they have, like, you know, these transverse processes, right? So as I told you, they have all unmyelinated neurons in the retina. So to prevent the dissipation of these impulses, they need insulation, and you don't have, you know, oligodendrocytes here. So to this you know, Muller cells with its processes, you know, it prevents the dissipation of impulses, or rather it prevents insulation between the neurons. So that's the second purpose. Then the third, you can say, is that it modulates the inflammatory or immune response also, because down there outside in the vitreous of the eyeball, you have a lot of cell mediated immunity. You have the macrophages there in the choroid, but in the retina, the inflammatory response is being mediated by these Muller cells. Okay, so in this diagram, can you see this is the yellow color line they've shown is the incident light. This is the incident light. Light comes from crossing the 10th, 9th, 8th, 7th, 6th, right? This is the how it reaches down and reaches to the first layer. And at the first layer, it is all absorbed. It is prevented from reflected back. Then when these photoreceptors they are excited, then there is a change in electrochemical impulses, and the action potential generated is then carried down along the optic nerve. So this is the excitation impulse is carried in the reverse direction of the incident light. Okay, then the very important thing which I have just seen and I am reminded of, let me not skip this thing, very important thing is here. Can you focus here? Very important thing. So these are the pigment, hold on, can you see this pigment epithelium? Can you see this pigment epithelium? Okay, so these are the first layer. They will be resting on the basement membrane, and they are actually attached to the Bruch's membrane. Remember, Bruch's membrane was a membrane between choroid and the pigment epithelium of the retina. So, and this also, the pigment epithelial cells, they are resting on a basement lamina, basement membrane. Okay, if you know this. Now focus upon this thing. Now focusing upon this thing is, can you see that these are the cells of cell bodies of the rods and cones, and these are the peripheral processes. They are either modified to form the cones or they are elongated to form the rods. Important thing is what I have drawn in this diagram, that these photoreceptors, they reach up to the pigment epithelium, but they do not join or get attached with the pigment epithelium. Very important thing. And if you're still not able to see, let me zoom it. Can you now see it? Very important thing. Can you see? So these are the rods and cones which you are seeing that they are reaching up to the pigment epithelium, but they are not attached with the pigment epithelium. Very important thing. This is one reason that which becomes the cause of retinal detachment. Clear? There might be other reasons, but the reason why this the 9 out of the inner 9 layer, the outermost of the pigment layer, this is all not attached to the pigment epithelium. Mechanically it is not binded to the pigment epithelium. The processes are reaching down there up till this, because light will strike upon this, and from there they'll carry the impulses to this, right? To this, they'll be converting it into electrochemical, and it'll end up back into the opposite to the direction of the impulse of light, but they're not attached. This is one reason which leads to retinal detachment. Okay, so let's give it a fast reading. Muller cells of the retina. So Muller cells are the principal glial cells, right? Principal glial cells. These are the glial cells of the retina. They form architectural support structures, strengthening, and they're stretching actually radially. You can use the word that's radially, because it's a globe, right? Eyeball is a globe. So, you can say that they are stretching around radially across the thickness of the retina, and the limits of the retina at the outer and inner limiting membrane respectively. ठीक, they are one of the last retinal cell type. Yeah, this is another important point, very important point. They are the one of the last retinal cell types to be born during development. If it's asked around about the development of retina, remember these are the last cells to be developed in the retina. So very important point. One of the last retinal cell types to be born during development, and they function to maintain the retinal homeostasis and integrity. They modulate the immune and inflammatory responses. I told you this thing. They guide the light to the, look here, they guide the light to the photoreceptors, because becoming an, a sort of, lamination between the different adjacent neurons. So they form a passage like for the light visual impulses to reach the retina. So they guide the light to the photoreceptors and buffer mechanical deformations of the retinal tissues. Okay, and Muller cells processes insulate. Now this one is again important point, that Muller cell processes insulate themselves between the cell bodies of the neurons in the nuclear layers and envelope groups of neuronal processes in the plexiform layers, right? In fact, retinal neural processes are only allowed direct contact. Okay, so there should be only direct contact with the retinal neuronal process without enveloping Muller cell processes at the synapses. This is an important point. So that was about the Muller cells. I believe you got to know some important points. One was basically important was for the structural strengthening, readily mechanical support. Then it is the last retinal cell to develop, inflammatory response, you can remember, and of course the prevents mechanical deformation. They are nearly the same, mechanical deformations prevent करता है. Then you have insulate. Insulation की वजह से ये है कि जो impulses है, they should only travel along the neuronal process or to wrap it up rather to for the transmission of impulses. So these are the major 4 functions you should remember of the Muller cells. Okay. Next is just to show you that how the Muller cells have been identified. It was been identified by this great scientist Kajal. Kajal was the one who identified this in 1892, and he was the one who identified these Muller cells with the help of Golgi stains. From the different animals: frogs, cats, lizards, chicken, ox. So you can see how differently it has been stained in different other animals. Okay. 2 things you have to remember: Kajal and Golgi stain. They can be you have seen, let me tell you, even I'll show you the histological sections. Even you will be seeing histological sections in your lab. You will not be able to identify the Muller cells. Why? Because he himself, Kajal, has told you need special stains, and that's why to identify the Kajal cells you need Golgi stains for the Muller cells. Next word we need to understand is Bruch's membrane. Look here. Now Bruch's membrane, as I told you, from outside to inside, this is sclera, the fibrous layer. Then this is the choroid, this is the vascular as well as the pigmented layer, and this is the retina. So in between the retina and choroid, this I told you is the Bruch's membrane, right? This is the Bruch's membrane. This I will teach you now about the Bruch's membrane. So what are the 2 layers adjoining the Bruch's membrane? You have this pigment epithelium towards the retinal side, and here you find is the endothelium, or you can say the blood vessels, capillaries, or the basal epithelium of this choroid. So before that, can you see it a clear view? Brooks membrane, this is the pigmented cell layer, this is the layer of capillaries within the choroid. This, of course, they're not shown. There will be an epithelium lining here on the choroid, and in between is Brooks membrane. So let's read it. Now Brooks membrane is the innermost layer. It's the innermost layer of the choroid. Okay. So it is the innermost layer of the choroid. So actually it has to be, there are 3 layers. In the very beginning of lecture, I told you that eyeball has 3 layers: sclera, choroid, and retina. So you have to categorize Brooks membrane into either of the 3. So if it's asked like it's a part of, remember Brooks membrane is a part of choroid, it's not a part of retina, because retina, the outermost layer, is the pigment layer. So it's, you can say the Brooks membrane is the innermost layer of the choroid. It is also called vitreous lamina. Okay, so inside the retina was vitreous humor, and on outside you can say it's vitreous lamina because of its glassy microscopic appearance. और thickness कितनी है? 2 to 4 microns. 2 to 4 micron in thickness. Okay. Brooks membrane consists of 5 layers from outside to inside. 5 layers होते हैं इसमें from outside to inside. And what will be the layers? Now look here, let's draw it. Let's say this is the inner layer, and that is the pigment epithelium of the retina. So this is the pigment epithelium of the retina, right? You can say it is the this is the pigment epithelium of retina, right? And here let's draw it the opposite side. On the outside it is the epithelium of the choroid. This is the epithelium of the choroid. Epithelium of choroid. Okay. These are already, this is a part of retina and this is a part of choroid. Now we'll talk about is the, in between the two, it will be the Brooks membrane. So Brooks membrane, let me tell you that it has 5 layers, right? So this side, it has this basal lamina as the number 1 layer. This is number 1, basal lamina. Basal lamina of choroid epithelium. Choroidal epithelium. This is the basement lamina of choroidal epithelium. Okay. The next, similarly, you will have a basement membrane for the pigment epithelium also, and this will be the 5th layer. This is the 5th layer because the numbering starts from outside to inside, right? So this is the 5th layer. This is the basement membrane of pigment epithelium. Okay. Then you find is the collagen. Now you find is the collagen fibrous layer. This is a layer made up of collagen fibers on both the sides between the basement epithelium of the pigment and the epithelium of the choroid. Both the sides you find this this as the 2nd layer and this as the 4th layer. The 2nd and 4th layer is the collagen fibrous layer. Okay, this is the outer and inner. This is the outer and inner fibrous layer. This forms the second and fourth layer. Now the middle layer is made up of elastic fibers. This is the third layer, and this is elastic fibers. Got it now? So this is very important. Brooks membrane is made up of 5 layers. On the two sides you have basement membrane of the two epithelium, right, for the pigment epithelium on the inner side, for the epithelium the choroid on the outer side. Then you have the collagen layer, the fibrous layer on the inside and on the outside, and the middle one is elastic fiber layer. Got it? So this is a fibroelastic layer. Okay, good. So this we are done with. Next slide is